Do you want an easy to build chicken coop door that you can build in just 20 minutes that looks awesome? Well, you clicked on the right video. I'm gonna show you guys how to build this amazing chicken coop door, and it only takes you about 20 minutes. So for the chicken coop door, we're gonna make it very simple. I'm gonna take a piece of wood like this, that's just scrap that's left over. Obviously, we're gonna cut it down to the exact size, but this is just for reference. I'm gonna take this, and it's gonna be on a pulley system where it can go down and it can lift up. And I'm gonna attach a string to the top of this, go up, and there's gonna be a pulley up there. It's gonna come around to the side. It's gonna go around the side. There's gonna be another pulley here, and it's gonna come down, and there's gonna be a string right here that I have attached to a hook, and we can just pull it, and the door will open. It's as simple as it gets. All right, so for my door, it's roughly a foot by a foot wide. So our track system is gonna allow roughly 3/4 of an inch on each side. We wanna add about 1.5 inches to the side and to the bottom and top of our door. We're gonna take 12 inches and add 1.5 inches, so that'd be 13.5 inches. So we're gonna cut that measurement into this board right here. All right, now that we have our door, we're just gonna dry fit it and make sure we cut it correctly, and it's looking pretty good. So now we can set the door to the side. Now we're gonna work on the track system for the door, because obviously you can't just have your door flinging around in the wind. It's gonna eventually fling around, and if it's raining out, it's gonna get wet in there. So we need a system to where the door stays tight up against this, and it only goes up and down. There's no way for it to go side to side. So to do that, I bought a few things at Menards. I'll show you real quick. So I bought 2 boards. So this one is a 1x2 primed pine, and you're going to want to use primed pine because this is going to be outside. You don't want to use regular pine. It's going to rot within a couple years. And then I also bought a 1x3 PVC trim piece, and this is PVC, so it will last literally forever outside. And these 2 boards right here is what we're going to be making 90% of the track out of. So these are very important. You don't have to do the white. You can paint them whatever color you want. Now what you're going to want to do, get yourself a tape measure, measure your door, and we got 13.5 inches like before. So we're going to want to go 13.5 inches from the edge to edge, and we're just going to make a mark right here on the 13.5 inches right there. And then we can go up here, make another mark. Down here, we'll make another mark. So now I know that this edge right here in my siding and this edge that I marked is roughly where my door is gonna sit. And I also want to do that for the top and bottom, because as you can see, if my door goes down too far, now there's a crack. So you're gonna want to put roughly a line 1 inch above the bottom of our siding. So mark it there and on this side. And then we can just use something straight like our door to mark it out. There we go. Now I know that bottom line is exactly where my door needs to sit. And then I can mark this line as well. And that way I know that line is exactly where my door needs to sit when it's coming down. So next up, we're gonna wanna figure out how high do we want our door to go up. Preferably, you don't want it to go up not high enough, but you also don't want it to go way up here. You want it to go somewhere around right here. Right about here is the sweet spot. So we'll just put it right here, and we'll just make a mark right up top right there. That way we know the top of our track is right at that mark. All right, so just like this, yeah, my level broke the other day, but surprisingly, it's still very accurate. I put my level up here, I level the bulb out, and I made my mark. So that way, this top is level. You see, my siding has a perfectly straight line right here, so I can just measure from here and mark my 13.5 inches. Mark at 13.5, I can just keep going down doing that. That way, now I can take my level and mark it. There. Now I have the line here, up top, and on the side, and on the bottom, we can now start installing the track system. So this is going to be our 1x2 primed pine board measurement. We're just going to want to measure right from the bottom there up to the top line, and we got 27 3/4. So we're gonna cut it at 27 3/4. I'm gonna make this side, make sure this side's the exact same. And yep, we're about 27 3/4, 28 inches, somewhere in between there. Then we're gonna get our measurement for our bottom piece. Now, we're putting these pieces all the way down to the bottom. So you want to start your measurement on the inside, which we already know that measurement. It's 13.5. But our door is exactly 13.5 inches, so we're going to want to go a little bit more. We'll do 13 3/4 inches, and the top will be the same as well. We're going to cut out 2 pieces at 13 3/4 inches and 2 pieces at about 28 inches. Let's go do that. All right, there we go. I got all my pieces cut here. Let me go show you where we're going to be installing these things. All right, so first we're going to take our shorter piece. We're going to want to install it right on the bottom, so that way we have somewhere to put our 2 side pieces, and that way everything lines up exactly perfect. So I'm going to pre-drive my nails in here so that way I don't have to hold it while trying to hold it up. All right, so I got my nails in there. Now we're just going to line it up with that mark we made earlier. Okay, then that looks good. I'm just going to pound the nail in. All right, there we go. And then I'm just going to pound the nail in on this side, making sure it is lined up perfectly with that line. There we go, and that was pretty easy. Now I'm just going to put a few more nails so it stays secure. All right, that should do it. Now we can put our side pieces on there, which of course are going to be your longer pieces. And then we can line it up perfectly with that bottom one. We're going to want to get it as close as possible. So that looks good. Now we'll pound the nail in. We're leaving just enough room to where the door can wiggle, but not wiggle out of place. And if you're confused, don't worry, it'll all make sense here soon. We're gonna grab our other long piece, do the same exact thing on this side. Now, I know what you're thinking. Them trim nails are never gonna hold that on there forever. Yes, I know that. That is why when we put the piece that's covering this, we're using screws, because it's gonna go through the first piece, through this piece, and into the plywood siding, so that way this whole assembly will never come loose. Now we're gonna put on our top piece. Shouldn't be too hard. We'll just line it up with the top line like that and put it in. And there we go. Now it doesn't look perfect, but it doesn't have to. It's just to stop the door. Everything here is gonna be covered. So now we're gonna grab our lovely door and make sure it fits. Look at that, all the way down, perfect fit. We come up, perfect fit. And as you can see, it wiggles just a tiny bit, but it doesn't wiggle so much to where it's like absurd. We installed it perfectly, exactly how I wanted to. Now, I'm gonna show you how to install the cover, so that way your door can't do this. Okay, before I get ahead of myself, I gotta remember, I gotta build this door before we put the main trim around it, because once that trim's around it, this door is not coming out without taking the whole trim apart. So I'm going to show you real quick how I'm making the door. You don't have to do this, but this is the best way I found it. So I'm going to I went to Menards. I got these 3" by 5/8 plates right here, as you can see. I got these machine screws and heck nuts. They're number 1024 by 1/2 inch. Same kind of nuts, so that way they go together. And I also picked up myself some new drill bits because I lost about half of mine, so these always come handy. On sale at Menards right now for 10 bucks. And we're just gonna wanna find a drill bit that's just about the size as this number 10. So we're gonna use a 3/16 inch drill bit. I'm gonna wanna make sure that these holes line up. So I'm gonna take this paper off for now. Maybe we just drill right through it. Haha. That works. Just drill right through the paper. That always works. There we go. Perfect. Now we're just going to want to place this about here, right at the top of our door, and we're just going to mark it. And right there. Now we can drill a hole right through it. There we go. Now we should be able to stick these puppies on here on the front and the back, we should be able to stick our bolts through there and then tighten them on. But first, we're gonna wanna grab our rope, and this is just 1/4 inch polyester rope. There we go, there is the end. Like I said, we had to unravel the whole thing. Now it is just a tangled mess. And now find your end, and we're just gonna tie a knot in the end. Doesn't have to be anything special, just a knot that you know is not gonna come undone. So I'm gonna do a double knot, and that should be plenty big enough to where it's never gonna come out. And then what's nice is I have this little track right here, but if you don't, this should work about the same. It's just gonna squish into your plywood. All right, remember when I said 3/16 inch drill bit? We're gonna need to go bigger. We're gonna go to a 7/32, see how that works. We may have an issue. I don't know what I was thinking. The plywood itself is a 1/2 inch. Why did I get 1/2 inch machine screws? Okay guys, we did it. As you can see, I may have sacrificed half the thickness of the board, but it is on there now. I would say it's pretty sturdy. Hopefully it holds up. It's very thin, like we're talking less than 1/4 of an inch, but it's what we had to do. The nice thing is now the back is pretty flush, so it's not gonna, you know, be a problem that it might get caught up on when you pull it up. I'll show you guys exactly if you don't get how this works. We put the rope under here, tied it with a knot, so it's, once we tighten it, it won't be able to move like this. And then we just put the 2 plates on each side. We put the screws in and bolted it together. That way this clamps down on the rope, and then there's a knot here, so it's never coming loose. And then this is gonna be what pulls the door up. So to start off, we're just gonna wanna get the exact measurement from this side to this side, which is exactly 16 3/4. So we're gonna go cut a board that is 16 3/4 inches long, and it's gonna be the 1x3 inch board. All right, so here we go. We got our cut board. It should fit perfectly just like this, and we're just gonna screw it right through this into the top board here. Like I said before, these screws right here is what we're gonna use. Premium trim screws. They're painted white. Here's a good look at them. They're 2.5 inches. So that way, this is roughly 1.5 inches. That way, a whole inch will be penetrating into the actual chicken coop. So we shouldn't have an issue with anything coming loose. Now I'm just gonna pre-fire some screws in here so that way it's easy when it comes time to holding it up here. So we'll put one right here. And now we just wanna line it up perfect with this edge and the top edge. And that looks good right there. Screw her in, hopefully we don't move it too much. So now we'll just put a screw in on this side, and this side is flush with this, so we're good. We don't have to cut anything else. And there you go. As you can see, those screws are very nice. It blends in. You can still see them, but it isn't a big eyesore. Now we're just gonna pretty much finish the frame, but we're gonna do the bottom next and then this side. And after that, stop, because we have to get the door in here before we install the last and final piece. All right, I got my piece for the bottom. I'm just gonna dry fit it to make sure it fits, and it looks perfect. So we're just gonna do the same thing we did on top. All right, we're gonna stick our ruler right up top there. We're gonna measure down, and we got 24 3/4. We're gonna wanna measure this side because it could be a little bit different. This side, about 25. So yeah, a little bit different. So 24 3/4, 25. Let's go get those two cut. All right, so we got our two boards cut right here, 25 and 24 3/4. And we're only gonna put this side on, and we're gonna wait to put that side on. I'll show you what to do next after this. All right, and that looks really nice. I'm loving how this is turning out. Now, like I said, you're gonna wanna wait to put the last piece in. That is because we need to get the door in. If we didn't get the door in, we would pretty much be left screwed because it wouldn't be able to fit in. So now we can just slide it into the left there and push her down. Now we can install the last piece. Wow, that's literally perfect. If I cut it any longer, it wouldn't have fit. Just love to see when that happens. And there we go, it's done. Test out your door. Make sure it goes up, make sure it goes down, and make sure it can't escape the actual track. The track is now complete. Now you're wondering, well, that's kind of awkward to have the rope come like this, because then it can't lift up all the way. What we're gonna do is drill a hole right through the middle of our trim. Okay, so I got my drill bit, and the biggest one I own is 3/8 of an inch, so hopefully that's big enough. So now we're just gonna take our rope, make it about straight up, and we're just gonna drill a hole right where that leads, right in between both pieces of trim, because we want it in the exact middle. And when drilling through this, make sure to be careful that you don't crack the actual trim. Go up and down a few times just to make sure. Okay, wow, that is way harder than it needs to be. But there we go. Our door opens great. As you can see, I had to go off to the right just a little bit, but it didn't affect it at all. Obviously, don't put the screw right in the middle like I did. That was just a mistake. We're pretty much good. Now we can move on to the pulley system, which is the fun part. For my pulley, I'm just using this 1 1/4 inch pulley. You don't need anything big. You just want to make sure that your wire that you have will fit through this hole. And I'll show you the assembly I'm doing. So basically, let's just say this is the shed wall. I'm gonna stick this screw into the wall. As you can see, it's an eyelet. And then I'm gonna take this piece right here. I'm gonna stick it through just like that. Then I'm gonna grab my pulley and I'm gonna do the same thing. That way, this right here is gonna be into the wall and my pulley will be hanging free. So that way I can stick my rope in there and there'll be no issues. All right, guys, so you're gonna need to whip out your ladder for this one. Just go straight up above your door and we're gonna drill a hole. Now, it doesn't have to be in trim or anything. It can be right in your wall. I just prefer it to be in the trim because it's a lot thicker and it's gonna hold a lot more weight than just that little piece of plywood siding. Now we can take our eyelet and we're gonna screw it into that hole we just drilled. All right, once we get it screwed down all the way, we're gonna take this thing, don't know what it's called, but you can find them at pretty much any hardware store. Then we can take our little miniature pulley and we'll stick it on there too. And then we can tighten this nut. And now that is the first part installed to our pulley system. Now we're gonna move over to the corner of the shed. All right, now that we're at the corner of our chicken coop, and this is gonna vary where you want to actually pull the door down. If you're putting it right in the front, good. You don't need to do this. You can just do a 2 pulley system. But this is if your door is on this side and you wanna pull the string down on this side. So completely skip this step if your pulley is on the same wall as your chicken door. So we're gonna take that same drill bit. We're gonna drill into the side of this trim right here, right in the center. Just like that. And we're gonna do the same thing on this side. There we go. Now we're gonna take them eyelets that we used earlier, these 2 right here, and we're gonna screw both of them in those holes. All right, there we go. And this is basically just where the rope is gonna run through here, and then it's gonna come around the corner and go through here. That way, it's not flailing in the wind. It's going through these holes. All right, so now you're gonna find the spot where you wanna pull the string down to open the door. And I want it right to the left of the window here. That way, because my door for the fence is gonna be here, I can just pull this down, the chickens can run out, and it's just the perfect spot. So we're gonna go about the same height as these hooks over here, and we're gonna drill a hole. And this hole, you want pretty much directly below where you want to pull the string. And I'm going to drill this hole right into a stud just so that it's extra strong and nothing will ever break on me. Here we go, got our hole drilled. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to screw this eyelet into that hole. Oh man, this one's hard to turn. I'm going to get something for more leverage. All right, I got myself this thing. Not exactly sure what it is, but it's going to help me with leverage. You can use a screwdriver or something else. There we go. It is in all the way. Now we just need to attach the second pulley. All right, and that's everything we want to install. Up until this point, we got to run the rope through the entire thing. Then we can continue with down here. All right, rope is up there through the pulley, through these, through that, and it's just hanging right here now. I don't know if you guys can see up there, but right here, this rope was like grinding against this corner right here. So I screwed a piece of rope up there so that way when I do pull it, I'll show you, it rides against the rope, because it was already cutting it and it probably wouldn't have lasted more than a week and this rope would have been done for. So if you have that issue, just take an old scrap piece of rope and screw it up there like that, and now you'll have no issue. But now we're pretty much on to the last part. You're gonna wanna get yourself like a dog clip like this. You can use any clip you want. I just prefer these. These are the easiest in my opinion. You're just gonna wanna make sure that your door is all the way down, and wherever you wanna clip it now is where we're gonna cut it. So I wanna clip it somewhere around right here because that's about hip height. I'm gonna cut the rope roughly around here because we need to leave some room to still tie it around this thing. Here we go, and we're just gonna bend it like this in a loop and bam, cut it like that. Now our rope is perfect. And once again, it doesn't have to be any fancy knot. I'm just gonna double knot it. I think a single knot works better. Yeah, because I double knotted it and it was coming loose, but single knot, it's staying on there pretty tight. So just a single knot. You can do a fish knot. That would probably be the best option, but I don't think I have enough rope left, so we're just gonna do this. Now, as you can see, this is where our rope is hanging when the chicken coop door is shut. Now, we don't need a clip to hold it. You can put a clip like over here if you want to hold it shut, but I'm just gonna let it dangle, and I'm gonna put a clip down here for when I pull it open. I want it to stay open, so I'm gonna clip it to something down here. Once again, one of these bad boys. So I'm just gonna put it right here. I wanna drill a hole right there, and once again, it's in a stud. Make sure it's in a stud because you want this one to be strong, because this is gonna be what's holding your door open. And there we go, just like that. Pull it down, clip it, and I'll show you. The door is open and it's clipped. That's pretty much it. I'm gonna show you quick in action the coop door working. Say we're walking here in the morning. We want to open the door, but there's gonna be a fence here, so I can't just walk over here and open it. All I do, pull that string and lock it, and the door is open, and the chickens come flooding out. Literally the perfect door for any chicken coop.